Story number 1. I used to take the bus everywhere. I'd go to my piano lessons downtown and be back by like 9:15 or 9:30 unless I missed the bus or something had happened to it, flat tire, crazy person, etc. One night I missed it twice because first I was in this little store using the restroom and it passed, and the second time the bus literally just drove past me without stopping, even though I was waving my arms. I was sitting out at the bus stop at about 9:20 p.m. on this lonely street downtown. I didn't own a cell phone at this time, just so you guys know. When a car stopped in front of me and rolled down the window, this guy asked me if I wanted a ride. I couldn't see his face because it was dark, but he had this deep but sweet voice. I politely declined. Come on, it's not safe for a beautiful young girl like yourself to be out here alone. I'm fine, thanks, I said. He said okay and drove off. A few minutes later the bus came and I happily got on. I got to my bus stop and started walking home. The bus stop closest to my house was about a 20-minute walk. I was walking down the street when I had this unnerving feeling. It was dark and much later than the usual time I would be walking, but it wasn't that. It was something else. I looked around and noticed this parked car a few ways behind me. I kept walking down the sidewalk. I heard a soft noise such as an engine to a car. I looked back and realized the car behind me was on, but had the headlights off. I started walking faster and looked back to see the car driving a little faster as well. I just stopped and turned around and waved so he or she would know I had noticed them. I don't know why I thought that would be a good idea. The car drove closer to me, and a chill ran down my spine when I recognized it. It was the same damn car from downtown. It got next to me and rolled down the window. "Are you sure you don't want that ride?" the creep asked. I couldn't believe he had followed me. I wanted to say something boldly and show him I wasn't afraid and for him to leave me alone, but what came out was a quivering, "No thanks." I started speed walking, but the guy sped up and parked right on the sidewalk, nearly running me over. I screamed and ran around the car, but the guy opened the door and grabbed me. I was 17 at the time and a whopping 109 pounds, so my kicks and punches against him were not a match. I was sure I was dead. The next thing I know was a pair of headlights pointed straight at us and honking like crazy. The man turned and still tried to shove me in the car, but was more distracted by the other car now. It was my dad and brother. Turns out they hadn't noticed I was home because I usually would get home and just lock myself in my room. When they realized I wasn't home, they drove to the bus stop where I get off at and saw me getting attacked by that man. My brother jumped out of our car so fast and came running at us. The man dropped me and tried getting in his car, but my dad had gotten to us too, and both him and my brother proceeded to beat the guy up. My brother then took me to our car while my dad had the man pinned down. We called the cops and the guy was arrested. Long story short, he got convicted, and turns out he had been in jail before for indecent exposure to a young girl. He had just tried to go to the next level by kidnapping me and doing whatever the hell he would have done. I got picked up for the rest of the year instead of taking the bus home. Anne got a taser and pepper spray and defense lessons. I'm pretty good at self-defense now, but luckily haven't had to use it. My dad and brother saved me that night, but creepy man and other men, let's not meet again. Story number 2. Let me give you some background information on the situation. My name is John, and I'm 16 at the time of the event, in the middle of my junior year. I'm from Asian descent and I'm nearsighted, which means I can't see far away, which is like a couple inches away from my face. It all started when I was in my homeroom. I'll call my teacher Mrs. H. Now Mrs. H was a young woman in her 30s, but looked much older than she was. She taught history, and I have her second period. First period just ended, and I'm just getting into class. As I walk over to my seat, I see a skinny, black-haired kid sitting there. "Are you the new kid?" I asked. "Yeah, name's Kyle." "Cool, name's John. I don't want to seem rude, but you're in my seat. Could you please move?" He gave me this face that a child makes when you don't give them what they want. He sat up and sat in the seat behind me. He reeked of someone who hasn't showered in a while. I take my seat and class begins. Mrs. H explains that there's a project we have to do, and it's on famous landmarks and their purpose. This was a partnered project, and lucky me was paired with Kyle. I thought not only was this going to give me a bad grade, but it meant that he had to come over to my house, or I had to go over to his house. So I made a stupid decision and decided to give Kyle my phone number. Everything was alright for the first couple of days. Nothing was creepy besides the look he gave me a few days before. Except for one afternoon, where me and him had just finished writing. We both did 2 pages each, and we're going to pick out highlights from both of them and combine them together. Fast forward a few hours. My parents were out at dinner, and I was home alone playing some computer games, when I heard what sounded like glass shattering from the basement. Being the coward I am, I decided to pause my game and listen. Not sure what to expect, I sat listening for a good 5 minutes before resuming my game. Another minute goes by, and I can hear the door to the basement open. I don't have any pets besides from the cat I have, which was on my bed at the time. I mute my computer and turn off the monitor, grabbing my phone to dial 911. This was on a landline installed to my room, which was my dad's office for some time. I quickly told the operator the situation, and she had dispatched an officer. I hear silent footsteps up the stairs. It felt like forever, but was only roughly 3 minutes until I heard the sirens. I never felt so safe in my life. That was until my door slammed open. I couldn't see much, but only a mere silhouette of a figure. The sirens pass my window with enough light for me to see the face of Kyle. He doesn't notice me, but he hides in the closet parallel to me. I have never been so scared in my entire fucking life. His facial expression was the same from when I had told him to move out of my seat. It's roughly 30 seconds of utter darkness besides some streetlights glaring in through the window. The door slams open and a cop rushes in, turning on the light and asking me if I'm okay. I scream my fucking lungs out, trying to explain he's in the closet while sobbing. He opens the closet and gets attacked immediately, but luckily tases Kyle. I asked the cops why they arrived so fast on only suspicion, and he told me that the operator said she heard another phone click after I hung up. I handed in the project a week later because I took some time off from school and stayed at my grandparents' house. I got an A. So Kyle, let's never meet again.